Welcome, everyone. I'm Diane McKeever. I am the Education Chair at Minnesota SCORE. And today we have such an exciting program for you, harnessing the power of Mergent Intellect. And we have today Erica Dow from the Manatee Libraries with us, and she is going to show us how to use this program, the basics of this program, and where to get additional resources about it. I wish we could kick right into it, but before we do, I need to do a little housekeeping. So Erica, if you could click, I just want to tell you a little bit about SCORE. SCORE is a nationwide nonprofit organization, and we're partnered with the Small Business Administration, the SBA. In fact, the SBA is going to be presenting in 2 weeks and talking about all of their programs and how to apply for them. We offer free, always free, confidential business mentoring advice. And our chapter, the Minnesota chapter, which is Manatee and Sarasota counties, we've been for over 50 years helping small businesses. We have almost 90 volunteers standing by waiting to help you. So if you have a business and you have business questions or problems, please think about applying for a mentor. And we're proud to say that our chapter recently was recognized as a district chapter of the year. What part of, since its founding in more than 50 years ago, SCORE has helped over 11 million clients. So what part of your business can we help you? Really, from conception to closing, the whole birth of your business, the whole life cycle of your business. If you woke up in the morning and had an idea and you thought you'd like to kick it around the water cooler, we enjoy kicking things around the water cooler. So if you're in your startup phase, contact us. If you're opening a business and you want to get more clients, contact us. If you want to grow your business, contact us. Or if you want to sell or close your business, we actually have a team dedicated to doing just that. So how can you contact us? Well, go to minnesota.score.org. That will get you to our website. And on our website, there you go. On our website, minnesota.score.org, there is a button for applying for a mentor. There's a button that you can sign up for other workshops or webinars. Remember, we have weekly webinars. Next week, we're going to have TD Bank talking about SWOT analysis. And I mentioned the SBA. And the following week, we're starting a 5-session program about grow with Google. That's a big one. Also, you can find on our website templates. So just put in whatever the search term is. You can find podcasts, templates. All of our webinars that we've had in the past are on there as well. Someone hasn't asked yet, but I'm going to tell you that this webinar is being recorded. You will get a copy of the recording or a link to it in an email, and you're also going to get all of Erica's slides. And I think you're going to find that that's going to be very helpful because she's going to give you a lot of information in 45 minutes and you're not going to remember it all. So you can go back and refer to that. We need to thank our sponsors and the organizations that support us. You can, if you click Erica, we can see that list of our sponsors and community partners. We can help you if you're looking for a loan. Often we have people that can get you in to see the right people at the banks, if that's in fact one of your goals. So we want to thank all of these organizations for helping us. All right, I think we're ready. One more click, Erica, and it is up to you. I'm turning it over to you. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Thank you, Diane. And we want to thank Minnesota SCORE for inviting the library to speak to everyone today about one of, actually, I'm going to cover a few of our resources, but really we're going to get into Mergent Intellect, which is a database that the library subscribes to. It's a pretty powerful business database that you can do business research, market research, get consumer information as well. So, these are some of the resources that we are going to look at a little bit today, but again, mostly getting into that Mergent Intellect and taking that for a spin. But these are a few of the things that the library provides in terms of business resources for small businesses, entrepreneurs. Remember, if you have a Manatee Library card, these are all free for you to use. A lot of them are online resources, but then of course you can come in and check out books. We've got a lot of really recently published business related books. One of the things at the end is going to be the I'm not going to play it because it's very long, but the business resources video tutorial, that's actually going to cover quite a bit of what I'm talking about today, though I may get into Mergent a little more specifically. And there is going to be a link. You're going to get those slides. There will be a link at the end that you can still click on in a PDF, and that will take you to the actual tutorial. It's about 19 minutes long, but it does have chapters, so you can skip straight to the Mergent section or whichever section you would like. So we'll go ahead and get into some of these resources, and I think that Diane is going to monitor questions, and if there's anything that's would really be beneficial to the whole group, I can stop and answer those questions, but she'll let me know. Otherwise we may save some for the end. One of the things that we have created through the library, the information services, library staff, is a small business resource guide. I would also recommend the one that SCORE produces. They've got a really great guide that kind of shows you how to start a business with all the information that you need from the state level, the local level. This is more of something that's just going to be, websites, talking about what kinds of books we have available, and also local resources, including SCORE, SBDC. Manatee County has an economic development division. And so links to the website. I'm not going to go to the actual web page, but this does have the link that when you get the PDF, you can just link straight to that and see that. And it tells you all of kind of what's available at the local level, state level, and how to find things in the library. It also includes information about our ebook collections. We've got a couple of apps, Hoopla and Libby. I would say Hoopla is probably a little better for some of the business resources, but you do find a little bit in Libby, which is really more like popular materials. And then of course, there's all the databases that the library subscribes to. Mergent Intellect is one of them.
And may I just,
Sure.
We have a couple of questions outstanding. Everybody is impressed by what Minnesota has. Does Sarasota have it? And do other South Florida libraries have this?
If you're talking about Mergent specifically, Sarasota, I believe, used to subscribe to it. I don't think they do anymore. And I don't know about other library systems. You would have to go onto their website and just look under their database list and see if they offer it. I think that Sarasota has gone back to, many of you may be familiar with Reference USA. I think they're called Reference Solutions now. I think they've gone back to that. And that is what we used previously, but we switched to Mergent Intellect, I would say about 6 or so years ago, mostly because there was just a lot more business data and industry research in Mergent Intellect, and that's why we switched over.
Good, thank you.
Okay.
Someone is not a resident of Florida, that's okay. Call your local library. It's hard for Erica to know which libraries access this, but check out your local library.
Yeah, and I'll tell you more about the requirements for getting a Manatee Library card once we are done with the Mergent section. So these are just a few of the databases that we do have access to through Manatee Libraries. Business Insights, you can get a lot of financial reports from publicly traded companies. That information is coming from Thomson Reuters. So pretty good information there. A couple of other ones that are going to include journals, magazines. Entrepreneurship Center is good because it's got like sample business plans, you know, kind of how to start and manage a business. I think this is a good one for if you're really just getting started, and giving information. One thing I do want to click on is LinkedIn Learning. Some of you may be familiar. It used to be called lynda.com. So we do have LinkedIn Learning available to our library patrons, and this is super popular. And I'm going to show you just a little bit about what's available in there. It's a funny thing because every time I've got my autofill, my library card number, and my PIN, but every time it's like, no, I don't like it. LinkedIn for some reason does not like the autofill. So I just have to go in and retype the last number and then it lets me in. It's a little weird. This is really, really valuable, whether you are a one-person business or entrepreneur, or if you actually have a team and you want to provide them with some training. This is a great place to do it. It's a lot of video courses. You can see, you know, graphic design, project management, but if you go up here to browse, you're going to see all the different categories where you can actually do courses. Anywhere from, you know, running a business, doing accounting, doing marketing. It's going to get into the creative aspects, web design, photography, you know, animation, and then technology. You know, if you or your staff need help with, you know, different types of software, network administration. So these are all really, really useful. And let me just click on something. We actually use this as a library too. Sometimes when we get a new software, we're like, I need to learn how to use this a little better. I'm gonna actually do a different one. Let's do web development. So you'll see that some of them are listed as course, and that's just an individual course on that specific subject. They tend to be a little shorter. And then learning path. If you see learning path and you click on that learning path, it's going to give you an actual collection of courses that you can take to learn that specific skill set better. So in this case, it's a lot of the basics of web design. So I wanted to point that one out specifically to you because I think it's really valuable. It's like $30 a month for an individual subscription to that, and it is free to you if you're eligible for a Manatee Libraries card. So I definitely highly recommend that you check that out if you have a card or when you get a card.
We've had a lot of questions about what does it take to become a Manatee Library customer.
Yes, I'm going to cover that later, but I'll just go ahead and cover it now. So I'll show you in a later slide, there's a link to apply online, and that gives you access for 90 days to most of our online resources. And then within 90 days, you will need to come into one of our Manatee Library locations and show proof of that you live in Manatee County, that you work in Manatee County. That could be a pay stub, a recent pay stub, or if you own a business in Manatee County, but you happen to live in another county, if you can prove, you know, that is your business ownership or school enrollment. So anyone who's going to, you know, SCF, MTC, they can also show recent school enrollment, and or if they own property in Manatee County but happen to live elsewhere. So those are the things that we require. We do have a non-resident card, but they do need to come in person. So if they're in Miami and they want to use this resource, well, they're going to have to drive over from Miami and come in and show their ID and pay. It's $25 for a non-resident card, and that gives you pretty much full resources.
Great, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All right, moving on. So again, I highly recommend LinkedIn Learning. We use it all the time, and you can get certifications and things through there. And then if you do have a LinkedIn account, you can actually upload those certificates to your LinkedIn as well. We've got magazines, so we have both in print and digitally. We've got a couple of apps, Flipster, Hoopla. You can get digital magazines. I love it because you can, pull it up and you just flip through it just like a print magazine, full color. So, and then we've got access to other magazine content that's more database style. And of course we have books. We're a library, so we have a lot. We've got a lot of recent, and we do try to keep our collection up to date with purchasing recently published business books. So I highly recommend that you, once you get your card, that you go into the catalog, and I will click on that really quickly. And this is our library catalog, and you can just search away, and then you can actually place things on hold. If I do any typing, I'll do a little typing when I'm in Mergent. I'll just tell you now, I'm a bad typer. So I may have to, do things over and over again. I like to sort things by the most recent publication date, and then you can see the newest stuff. Small business boom. So if you see something in our catalog, you're like, I'm interested in getting that, just put place request. You enter your barcode and your 4-digit PIN, and then you just select the location, and then you'll get a notification when it comes in for you at your preferred location. And we notify by email or text message. So it's pretty convenient.
For a non-resident, that $25, is that a year or
A year.
one time? A year.
It's a year. It's a pretty good value. Yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah. But again, you cannot do it remotely. If we did that, we'd lose all kinds of licensing or for the databases that we have and the ebook apps and things. We pay a fee based on our service population.
Got it.
So it messes up our licensing.
Sure.
And then apply for a library card. I know that was a popular topic so far. Again, it just kind of goes back to the catalog, and you will go right here where it says click here, and then you enter your information, and that will give you, it flashes it on the screen, and you want to make sure to do a screenshot or write it down. It gives you a temporary library card number, and then you create a PIN that you can use for 90 days until you come in and actually get your physical card.
Okay, good.
Okay, and again, it comes with a lot of, great access to great collection. We've got library of things. We have tools, instruments, telescopes, you name it. We got all kinds of stuff. And then we do have also book lists. If you click on this, it'll go to a it's like book lists that get sent to your email, and it usually includes a lot of new stuff. So you may want to sign up for that. And we've got other topics as well that you can sign up for. All right, now we're getting to the meat and potatoes. So this is Mergent Intellect, and it's a pretty powerful business and industry and market research database, and it's owned by FTSE Russell, and based on data from Dun Bradstreet, Nielsen, and Claritas, which is like market segmentation. Some of you may be familiar with the former database called Hoover's. This is kind of an offshoot of that, because that also used Dun & Bradstreet information. So you will use your library card to log in. And I know I've got a note on here that says see user guide for instructions, and I'll have to send that to Diane as well. In addition to the PDF, we have an actual user guide that we created, our library staff here, for Mergent Intellect. It contains business and executive search, first research industry reports, and that's actually one of the reasons that we went with Mergent over Reference USA, because again, there's just a lot more industry information available in it than the other business databases. Key business ratios, and that's a pretty advanced business math function. If you are interested in using that, I would not recommend contacting us, because we became librarians for a reason. We're not really great at complex math. So that's really, I know that some SCORE mentors have used that with their clients. And so that might be something you ask your SCORE mentor if they're comfortable showing you how to use that, if you want to get that advanced. And I'm going to show you all of these things when we actually get into Mergent. One thing that I think everyone will be really interested in is consumer data. How you can get that. And then there is a demographics function, which I actually personally use a lot for research. It's a lot easier to do in Mergent than it is in the US Census online, which they changed a few years ago, and it's kind of difficult actually. you can do resident and local business search. That's really kind of more like your white pages, yellow pages. And I think it is actually powered by white pages. And then there's a learning center that has also got user guides and videos that they've created. All right. All right, so we're gonna do a demo. I'm gonna get into Mergent and do some of these things. I won't do everything that's in there because that would just really take too much of our time, but I want to show you the things that will probably be of most interest to you. So you can see it said session expired. You do have to go through the catalog where the link to the database lives, and it will prompt you to do that when you are at home, and our user guides and video tutorials show you how to do that, how to get here. So this is the homepage for Mergent Intellect. You can see you've got a major search up at the top. You can search by company, executive, industry, and then also new US business. If you click on that, you can click on your state or whatever state you're interested in. And then you can kind of just drill down to city or zip code, I believe. And you can actually see what some of the new businesses are that have been created. I'll come back up to this in a second. We're going to get into advanced search. That's probably going to be most useful for you when you are wanting to do business research. You want to research other businesses, whether they're in this area or another state. You can do nationwide, you can do global. You want to see, and that's good for if you want to see who your competitors are, or also make a list of companies that you want to sell a product or a service to. And that's going to be where you're going to do that. Learning Center, as I mentioned, this is access to videos and how-to guides. And residential search, again, this I'll show you quickly. It's pretty simple, but this is really where you're looking up like one person or one business, kind of more of your local, you know, you're looking up your local pizza parlor, or, you know, you want to find a specific person. That's what that is for. First research. This is, again, like I said, one of the reasons that we went with Mergent. There's a lot of research in here. You cannot get as specific. It always asks for email address, and I think that's for emailing reports, but you cannot get as specific as our local area, but you can get as specific as by state. And so what this has is it's got actual profiles for different industries. So for instance, if I was interested in, you know, let's just electronic equipment repair services, and that's the industry I want to get into, it will show you things like industry growth rating. In this case, it's medium, give you an overview, any kind of news and tweets about that particular industry, the forecast, critical issues, challenges, trends. So it's pretty cool. One thing I like too is it has this up here called call prep questions. And these can be used if you were, you know, trying to contact companies in that industry, or even if you were interviewing for a position in one of these industries. Kind of gives you an idea of some of the different kinds of questions that that can be asked. And these can all be printed and saved as PDF. And I'm going to go to North America Regional. And so, as I said, you can actually get a report by state. So you can see this was pretty recently published, June 2022. So they keep pretty up to date. Every couple of months, you'll see a new updated state profile, and it just gives you, you know, new news. Obviously, Florida's housing market, that's an issue, but a lot of news related to Florida, business in Florida, employment, and real estate. It will show you know, the unemployment rate, but also what's interesting, the industry growth rates. It will show that as well. And you can see what industries are kind of falling behind and which ones are growing pretty quickly. And then a real estate summary just kind of shows annual home price changes. But I would encourage, if there is something that you are looking to get into. So one of my examples as I go through this is going to be like dog grooming business. I just chose something random. I like dogs. So if I were to put dog grooming, because I want to see what what's going on in that industry. Obviously, dog grooming is not the topic heading that they use. They use pet care services. So I'm going to click on pet care services to find out more about that industry. And so you can see it was pretty recently updated a couple of months ago. Industry growth is high, and it comes up with, some different news having to do with that. Obviously, animal disease outbreaks, is an issue. These are some of the examples of the call prep questions. If you were to, have a product or a service that you wanted to contact some dog grooming companies and ask critical issues, reliance on high income households, obviously, mostly more affluent people are the ones who actually pay to have their pets groomed. And then we know we've got in Manatee County, certain affluent areas. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of an overview of different industries. And there's many, many, many in this first research. So I just wanted to touch on that very quickly. And then this was the key business ratios that I was talking about. It's very mathy. And if you're into that, or you have someone who you work with who wants to use that function, it's there. Demographics, I use this quite a bit. You can go by county, zip code, by city. If I were to put in, you can compare zip codes, which is what I do a lot when I'm researching. And then you can actually pull up reports. So these are going to be all reports that are based on this zip code. You've also got this is kind of an interesting bit of information, is the Prism household distribution. It's like really niche market segmentation. That's kind of fun to look at. But if you do choose one of the reports, it's going to ask you for your email. And it's actually going to email you the report, because it just takes sometimes a couple of minutes for the system to build it, and then it will be sent to your email. So I like to use, and I think it just came up actually, so no, it didn't. Well, I'll go back to that in a second. I like to use Mergent demographics because it's just a lot easier to use than going to like US Census Bureau. If for any reason you need to use demographics, I would definitely recommend Mergent over, I keep hoping it's going to pull up, but it's not. Mergent over the US Census Bureau online, which is kind of difficult to use. So I'll pull up that demographics report if that comes in to my email here in a minute. So I definitely recommend that. And then another one that I'm going to show you is consumer data. But first, we're going to go with the advanced searching. Do we have any questions that I can answer?
Thank you. I'm trying desperately to keep up with it. There's apparently a problem with chat, and I was unaware of it, but put your questions in the Q&A. But Zachary asks if we have time, could we briefly look at the key ratios towards the end? If you,
I'll go back to it now. Let me just show you that now. So it's key business ratios. So it's got solvency, efficiency, profitability, which is I think the big one. You can see where these benchmarks are coming from: Dun Bradstreet, First Research, Harris InfoSource. There's a lot of information sources that this is pulled from, and actually all the data in Mergent is pulled from. So if you were to click on ratios, you could go by the SIC code or the line of business. There's the North American code and industry code, which I think is not used as much as SIC code. But let's just say, you were into furniture and fixtures, and then you choose, the most recent year. And then these are the key business ratios. So that's something that, again, that's kind of an advanced math function, but, pretty interesting. But these are supposed to be the benchmarks for where a business in that industry is supposed to be at if they're operating at the upper, median, or lower range. Does that help? Hopefully.
Sorry, I was busy answering questions. Um, Yes, I think it does help. And there was a question, is this only Florida data? And I think the
No,
answer is no, it's
no,
universal, right?
it's
Global?
it's national. SIC
National.
codes. Yeah, it's national. I can't remember if SIC codes are used internationally. I think it's a national industry code. And I'll show you a little bit more. We'll see a little bit more of that as we go into this advanced search function.
Okay. Linda wants to know if we'll get a copy of the screens. You'll get a copy of the entire video. You'll get a link to the entire video, which you'll be able to review the screens. And someone is asking about signing into the local Sarasota library. This is actually being presented by the Manatee Library. Can I sign in without a job or a business here, but just with proof of address? Proof of address would be fine, would it not, Erica?
If you live in Manatee County and you have and your address is on your ID, or you bring in a photo ID and then you have something like a utility bill or a lease or cable bill that has got your local address on it, then yes, we can take that.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
So yes, you're going to get the recording of this. And again, there is going to be a video tutorial covering the business resources that I have mentioned. And it goes into a number of the things that I'm doing here with Mergent. It's like 19 minutes long. And then you will also get a user guide. And
Great.
then you will also be able to contact us after if you need some help, because it is, it's a bit of a learning curve. This is a lot to take in all at once. So this is going to be where you're going to compile company research. You can back at the home screen, you can search by any company, local or national. Airbnb is a publicly owned company, so they might have a little bit more details than privately owned company would. You could see some of the latest news about the company, and then some of their key information down here. It's got their primary SIC code, which is reservation services. You can see that they are a public company. It also has the family tree. This is actually a little more interesting if you look up something like Amazon or Pepsi. You'll just see, Airbnb just has a lot of different affiliates, which are basically Airbnbs in different countries. But it shows you what they call family members, and that's just all of the, branches of the organization. But if you look up something like Amazon, you're going to see, first of all, probably their sales goes like off the page. Yeah, there's their sales in 1 year. But if you go under their company and go to their family tree, and you can also look up their executive, everyone in their executive. So you can see they've got over 2,000 entities under them. I know they own Zappos, Whole Foods, Woot.com. I never heard of that. But you could just keep going and you'll continue to have things that you can expand the list. Amazon Web Services, many websites operate off of Amazon Web Services. So I'm not going to keep going on that because we'll just keep scrolling forever. And then you can look up local companies. There's Motorworks Brewing, and you can see that they're doing pretty good, almost 6 million in sales per year. And that's, because it's not just the location they have downtown Bradenton, but it's also, they do a lot of wholesale, like to retail, grocery stores, restaurants, things like that. So you can see their SIC code here is bars and lounges, and you can see also that they are a private company. So something like executive details, they've only got a couple, the owner and one of the directors listed, because, again, they don't release as much information perhaps because they are a private company. But a lot of details you can find about a company when you do that.
Lisa is saying that she's just looking to find customers in a specific zip code and
Right.
new owners in a zip code.
I am getting to that. Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So right now we are doing a business search. So let's say you want to look for specific businesses to, sell a product to, or just to see what the competitors are. So I'm going to go, you can see that there's many, many different things that you can click on here. But I usually find that it's best just to go to location. And you can narrow it down to zip code. You can do a radius search. So if you aren't exactly sure, you can, put in the zip code and then go, I want a 2-mile radius of that zip code. And then I'm going to add that to the criteria. And now you can see that criteria is down there. We've got over 1,700 companies, but let's say I want to get more specific. I want to be by industry because I'm interested in finding competitors or finding potential customers that are businesses. So because most of us don't know the SIC codes for a specific business, the keyword search is usually the best. And before I use dog grooming, but you'll see that dog grooming doesn't really come up. And then I remember, oh yeah, it's actually pet care.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to use, and you'll see it starts coming up with pet care. It did before. Pet care services. Now it doesn't want to work, of course, when everybody's watching. Pet. All right, where are you? Grooming services. There we go. It didn't have pet care in it, so that's where I got messed up. So now I've got this is what I want. I want to know what other companies do grooming services in that specific zip code, and I'm going to add to criteria. I did put it on the slides as well, and I will say a couple of times, this blue button, add to criteria, is very important. Whenever you do select something to search by, make sure you're clicking that blue add to criteria button, because that's what's actually coming up down here. And you can see now we've only got 2 companies. So somebody might go, well, that might be a good area to start a business if I was looking for something, if you're looking for competitors. If you click on search, and then it will show you what those actual businesses are. And then you can click on each one to get more information about them. And you can see it's a private company, so they're probably not going to have as many, executive details and things like that. But I'm actually going to go back, and let's say I just kind of realize, okay, maybe I made my my area a little too small. You can actually, anytime that you want to remove a criteria, you just click on the little X right next to it. So now this is the whole country, basically, because we don't have the location. So I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to say, let's just do Bradenton. And you'll see it starts to kind of autofill. You can click on that and then add to criteria. And now it's come up with 39 specifically in that SIC code. And now if I go to search, then it's got all of them listed. And it usually organizes, it automatically sorts by sales volume, but you can sort, by others of these, but they're usually pretty similar. Now, the nice thing about doing a search like this, let's say that you have gone, okay, I want to save this list, I want to export this information. You can do up to 2,000 records in one search. So if right here where it says all, right now we only have 39. But if we had 2,039, then you would have to put in range and enter 1 to 2,000 and build that file. And then you'd have to do 2001 to 2039 to get all of them, because it will only allow you to export 2,000 records at a time, which sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you might, especially with the consumer data, you might need that much. So I'm going to select all right here. And then there's a few different things you can do. You can print, but what I like to do is build files. And you can see that it's clicked just absolutely everything. I don't always like that. I'm going to leave it right now, but I'll go back and I'll just show you. You can choose fields. So if you don't want all of these extra things, subsidiary status and latitude and longitude, you may not need that. So you can just click on the things that you really do want. But for now, I'm just gonna click on everything. It does require you to click on at least one criteria within financial info. So usually like sales. I know I passed it. No, that's size. So, you know, you could pick total revenue. There's a lot of different criteria here that you can choose. And that what's going to happen is that's going to be exported into an Excel. Name your file, and then it gives you an option to download, or you can put in your email address, or if you want to send it to a staff member or somebody who helps you with management, marketing, that kind of thing. I'll just show you what a file looks like really quick. That's not it. Sorry, that was one of that's
okay.
that's
That
our
looks like
staff
your
schedule.
yes.
Oops, I still had that open. So anyway, you can see this is what it looks like. If you choose only some of those when you're building the file, if you just choose some of those checkboxes, you're not going to get this whole huge thing. It'll be, you know, a lot shorter, but you can see there's just a lot of data here that you can use, particularly, you know, physical address. If you do any kind of mail outs, mail merge, that kind of thing. So
just
that,
as an aside, I am teaching an Excel class at the end of August on just this, how to massage data. You've got this hunk of data, now what?
exactly.
So think about signing up for that. Yep.
Yeah. So I am going to get into the, if we don't have any more questions about that, I'll get into the consumer.
Great.
Okay.
Got a lot of questions about that.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's just, you know, remember you've got access to videos, user guides, contact us afterwards. So for consumer data, this is where you want to market a product or service directly to a consumer. You can do a quick search by name, but mostly we don't want to do that. We probably want to do advanced search, which is going to be similar to the business search where you're choosing different criteria. And in this case, again, I would suggest, you know, location, if there's a specific zip code you want to search, or if you just want to search by city. The problem with, you know, I don't even know if it would do, if it considers Lakewood Ranch, because Lakewood Ranch is not technically a city, but we'll put it in there. And remember, very, very key, add to criteria. If you don't do that, it's not going to build your search. But now we've got it down there. We've got, you know, almost 1,800 people, which I know there's more than that in that area, but what this is based on, and I'll show you in a moment here. Housing you could do if you wanted. Lifestyle is what we're gonna do. Consumer detail, you can get into age ranges if you want to market specifically to females for any reason. To someone with a specific net worth, you can do that. But this is probably the most useful, which this information comes from people who receive mail order catalogs, magazines, you know, different types of, you know, companies maybe that they order packages from. It's kind of a little creepy when you think about it. There's a lot of information that's out there that people can get about you. You can actually go on to websites as a consumer and enter your data saying you do not want to receive catalogs, you do not want to receive credit card offers, but it takes a lot of work to do that as an individual consumer. So anyway, let's just say, you know, obviously I'm using dogs as the example. So when I click on pet lovers, you know, that means that they're getting items sent to them from pet companies. They're getting the catalogs, the magazines, all of that. I'm going to unclick cat owner and equestrian because I really just want to focus on the dog owners. But you can see there's other things like women's apparel, men's apparel, book readers, people who are into home improvement, gardening, automotive DIY, if they own an SUV, if they own a pickup truck, you can really kind of get down to really specific. But let's just stick with the pets. You see, I did not add to criteria. That's very frustrating if you get down to the bottom and you're like, why didn't my numbers change? It's because I didn't click on that button. That blue button is very important. So you can see now we've narrowed it down to about 1,600. I'm going to search. And these are real people. So you're going to see people's real names popping up on here. They've got phone numbers. Sometimes it's even cell phone numbers. But these addresses, you know, they're coming from different sources. You know, the people may or may not, you know, still live there. These get updated every so often, but for the most part, it's going to be accurate. So let's just say you're like, okay, this looks good. And now I want to export this file and then do something. I keep doing that, but really that's, if you do that, it's going to show just what's checked. What we really want to do is do all, and we are able to do all because it's not 2,000 records. If it was more than 2,000 records, again, you'll have to just split it up and do separate builds with the range. So we're going to do all, and I'm going to build the file. And in this case, you can see there's a lot more data to select because it's just a private individuals and not a company. So we've selected, I don't have to really pick any of the lifestyles because I already did that in my search, but you could, if you want it decided at the end, like, oh, I also want someone who owns a pool, you could do that. But we're just going to enter the file name and build our files. And in this case, again, you could email it. If you've got somebody who does mail marketing for you, like a company, if you contract with somebody, you could email it straight to them, or you could just download it yourself and email it later, save it to your computer.
Do you know if the exported executive and consumer lists generally include emails?
They do not include emails. If there's an email listed for a business, it would include it. It usually includes their web address, but this system for consumers does not include personal emails.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but you'll see that it does have their name, it has their address. It does have phone numbers for, you know, those who have their number listed, or otherwise somehow got their, my cell phone number is actually in Mergent, you know, because it just scrubs all kinds of, you know, sites out there. There's a lot of data out there that people don't realize about themselves, but then you could use this file. Again, save it specifically named for whatever target market you're looking for. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to send this to my person who helps me with marketing and ask them to send that particular, you know, postcard that we made last week about this new product for homeowners who have dogs, and send them a mailer. And you can use this as like a mail merge and go ahead and send that out. But that way you're specifically targeting the people who might be the most interested in that product or service.
Great.
Okay, so that was pretty much my presentation, and I know that was real quick, and it's, you know, it's a lot to take in, but again, you will get more training resources and can reach out to us as well. Is there any other questions that I can clarify?
Emmanuel, can you send the link again? You're going to be getting this video. You're going to be getting all of the slides. It will be available in there. How do you filter out duplicate addresses? Come to my webinar on using Excel, and you're going to see how quickly you can do that. Myra wants to know, hey, do you perform the services? Is this a service doing this for patrons?
We will show you how to use it. We typically don't do searches for patrons. We prefer to show everyone how to use the resource so that once you need to use it, we can walk you through the first time. But we prefer to show people how to use the resource so that once they need to use it again, that they can do that.
And you are going to provide your contact information at the end in case they have any questions after this.
Yes, I'm going to do that here in a moment. I just, before I leave this screen, was there anything else specific within this resource?
No, I think so. With the $25 yearly subscription to the library, you get access to this for free.
You do. You will get access. Yeah, you'll get access to Mergent. But again, if you're a non-resident, so if you live in like Sarasota or Pinellas, something like that. If you want to come to our library system and say, I'm not a resident, but I'd like to get the non-resident card, then they'll do that, and it will be $25 for a full year of access.
Okay. And Lynette, I think that's beyond the scope of this. She wants to know if there's a company that mails out postcards for a reduced price. I think you need to do a little research for that unless somebody else has a suggestion for you.
Well, there are companies that do, mail marketing,
Right.
like Allegra, 360. I mean, they're definitely, a number of them around town that will work with you to help you design something. And actually, as far as the actual mail out, I think that they do it.
Good. Okay, that's it.
Okay, so again, like I said, in your PDF is going to be this link to this business resources video tutorial, which goes over a number of the things that I talked about today, and the advantages that you can, pause it, stop, go into the resource. And then we have this, Diane.
Oh, thank you. Yes. Yes, I'm sending an email. So somebody wanted to know if this is only for the west coast of Florida. This is actually correct me if I'm wrong, Erica, but this is available nationwide. The information is nationwide, and check with your library. If you don't live in Minnesota and want to have access to this, there's a good chance that a library in your county will have it, or in your local area. So someone is in Polk County.
Yeah, you'll have to check with your local library if they have access to Mergent, but just as far as the information that is included in Mergent, it's North America. It defaults to North America, but there's actually when you do a search, you can choose Canada and international. So it has information nationally and globally, the actual information that's in this database. But as far as getting access to the database itself, you would have to check with your local library if you're not able to get a card through us.
Because as Erica and I were talking, this is not a program. You can't sign up for this program as an individual. It's a very expensive program. It's one that's being used by large organizations or libraries to make it available individually to companies. So you'll have to check with your library system and see if it's available to you, but it should be available somewhere locally in your state.
And I do want to point out, I'm going to go back a few slides. I do want to point out some of the other databases. A couple of these are available without a library card. There's a vendor called Gale that provides access to certain databases for free to all Florida libraries. So when you get these PDF slides, if you click on some of these, you'll be able to go in and access some of these databases if you're not able to get a card through us to access Mergent. There are some other resources that are listed here that you can access.
All right, well, we've caught up on our questions, but I'm sure more will be coming in. But in the meantime, let me just encourage you to go to our website, manasota.score.org. You're going to get a link to this video. It will be sent in the next day or two. You're going to be getting a copy of all of these wonderful slides that Erica has been presenting. But go to our website. Do you know what we have on there? If you're interested in volunteering with SCORE, there's a button that allows you to do that. If you're looking for a mentor, there's a button to do that. If you want to take a workshop, you can sign up for my upcoming Excel workshop if you want, or any of the other workshops that are coming up. You can look for other resources. So are there any other questions? I see nothing in the Q&A. I know some people were having difficulty on the chat, and I don't know what that problem is. We'll look into that. You will be getting a survey email. We'd love it if you would just take a moment to fill in that survey. Tell Erica how great she was. 9s and 10s are what we always strive for, and we look for quality people like Erica to deliver this information to you. If you have other topics that are of interest to you, I said I'm the education chair. I'm always open to bringing in experts to help you. So please take a moment and fill in that questionnaire, that survey. No open questions, Erica. I think you've done it. Oh my, I am so excited. If you're not in the area, will we still get a copy of this Zoom? It's coming to your email. It's coming to your email. So yes, you signed up for this. You will get an email with this webinar. You'll get all of the slides. Okay, great. I think that's all the questions that we've got. So thank you, Erica. This has been fabulous. I think it's such an eye-opening to know that this is available. So yeah, let's
the data is out there, so use it to your advantage. And I've put and again, you'll get these slides with this contact information. We've got like just a regular reference email, or you can email me, and then the text and phone number, those are for the information services department. So you may get another staff member at that time who can help you. But if you have some very specific questions based on what you saw today, please do feel free to email me, reach out, and I will help you to the best of my ability.
Wonderful. How reliable is the data?
Yeah. How reliable is it? Like I said, I think some of the more white pages stuff is I'm not quite sure how often they update that. So you'll probably, just like you would in any search, there might be some addresses that you get from time to time that just aren't good anymore. I'm still getting mail from, I've lived in my condo for 5 years. I'm still getting mail from the previous owners.
Sure.
I mean, it's, and then again, the public companies that are listed, they tend to have more data available than the private companies, because the private companies don't have to disclose as much.
Good. Well, thank you. And I hope we have an opportunity to hear more about the Minnesota Library in the future from you.
All right, great. I would be very happy to do that.
Wonderful. All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Bye. Thank you so much.